Hi, today I want to talk to you about how you determine your pricing for your books that you're putting on IngramSpark. So one of the most important things that self-published authors need to be aware of is how to properly price their book. So it is a matter of going out and looking at what other books are available in your genre and making sure that you are pricing fairly within the genre. So for example, if you've written a 200-page fiction book and you do your research on your comp titles and you see that most of those books are selling between $9.99 and $14.99, you dig a little deeper and look at the pricing on indie books compared to traditionally published books, and you find a price range that fits within the norms. So you don't want to charge $26.99, set your book at $26.99 if the highest book you find in your category is between $14.99 and $16.99. So your pricing is not the time to try and make up for the expenses that you've put into publishing your book, because 0 to 5 sales at $26.99 is a whole lot less than what will happen if you set it appropriately and you get 50 to 100 sales at $14.99, if that makes sense. So if you want people to buy your book, it has to be set at a price that's reasonable to them. So that's part one. But part two of this system is that you have to understand what you have to set the book at a minimum price so that you earn money from the book or don't have negative compensation. So this is key when it comes to IngramSpark, because they have a little bit of a different system when it comes to setting the pricing, and then of course because they are a distribution and wholesaler, you have to set a discounted rate for retailers to purchase their book. Generally, retailers, stores, and other places like that want to see a minimum of 50%. 55% is the industry standard on a wholesale retail rate for book distributors and retailers. Depending on the style of the book, on what you are doing, you may not be able to give 55%, or you would have to price the book really high. But I would always aim for at least a 50% retail discount. We can have lots of conversations about why you do this, how what the rationale behind it is, and then how you sell your book so that you don't have to be at those pricing ranges. But in terms of trying to get your books into retailers, you are going to want to make sure that they are able to purchase the book at a reasonable discount. If you're trying to have your book, like if it's a hardcover book that Amazon does not do, so you have to use IngramSpark to get your hardcover book on Amazon, we've found that if you don't set it at least 50%, while your book may show up on Amazon, it is often listed as unavailable because Amazon's not getting the discount that they need to purchase the book and still take their cut as well. So those are things to keep in mind. Now, this is a great tool that IngramSpark has. You can I'll include this link in the notes, but you can just Google IngramSpark and pricing calculator will get you right to it. But it's more than just a pricing calculator. These are things that cover designers will need to have available: the weight and spine width calculator, the cover template generator. The cover files are going to be different than the cover files through KDP. The interior files will be the same, but you will have to have a little bit of a different cover file. And I highly encourage you to use a professional designer on your cover. It is not that expensive to have somebody design especially if you already have your ebook image and they just have to create the full book cover for you appropriately. You can save so much time by just having someone do this for you. But here's where you can get that cover template. And then you have the publisher compensation and the print and ship calculator. Both of those are super important. So let's start with the publisher compensation calculator so that you can see the basics you need to have. So in this example, we've got an 8.5 by 8.5 hardcover color book. It's a book with a lot of beautiful colored images throughout the book. So for children's books, cookbooks, and books that rely heavily on the images within, I highly recommend that you go the premium color. The weight means how thick the paper is. So if you have thinner paper, then you may get bleed through with images. So if you're doing, color images especially, then you want to go with a thicker, heavier paper. And then obviously the better the color, if it's a children's book or a book that, you want as good of picture as possible, then you're going to want to go as high. But of course, this is going to cause higher cost as well. Obviously, a hardback is going to be more expensive than a paperback, but this may be the right option for this book. And then, do you want a gloss or matte cover? Now, there are going to be some other options. If you go with paperback, you might be able to choose different perfect bound or saddle stitch. It describes what these are, but basically saddle stitch is stapled, perfect bound is glued. It's a preference thing, or depending on what you like happening here. Sometimes the cover design can be, depending on how you set it up, it may give you the option for a duplicate cover, duplex cover, sorry, which basically means the cover that's printed on the inside of the actual cover of the book. This is offered on some sizes and some types of books. So again, when you're doing your planning for your book, you need to come over here, if nothing else, to make sure that the trim size that you want is available. And if you really want a duplex cover, to make sure that it's available in the size that you are doing, because that's only available paperback. I'm sorry, it is available. No, it's not. See, it goes away. It's not available as a hardcover option here. So these are things you should do early on to know. We know that it's 66 pages because we have our final interior PDF. If you have an idea of what it's going to be, like if you're doing a children's book and you, well, you're going to know from the beginning what that is, 20 to 28 pages, 32 pages, whatever it is. And then what is your list price going to be? Now, this list price, you may have needed to go through this print and ship calculator first to kind of get an idea on, and I'll show you that. But if you already know, you're going to set it at $24.99 and your wholesale discount is going to be 50%. You're selling to the US, then if you set it at $24.99, the print charge is $11.80. 8 cents. You're going to have 62 cents here in royalties per book sold through IngramSpark at this wholesale discount rate, which you want to have at the right rate if you're trying to get into bookstores. So if you bump it up, it's $1.62. Okay. So if you have no idea where to set this, like let's say, well, you're thinking, oh, $16.99 feels like a great price, then it would tell you, okay, it's going to generate the print charge and say, nope, you can't do that. So you're going to be paying IngramSpark $3.38 every time. So if you really don't have any idea, you can also go through the print and ship calculator first to kind of get an idea of how, because it will calculate all this stuff and give you the cost down here at the bottom. But you're going to need to know how much that print cost is. That you cannot set it. So let's talk about this. So if it costs $11.88 to print the book, let's just say $12 for the ease here, and you're giving a 50% discount to retailers, then that means that like the lowest price your book could be is $24. So, you could then decide, well, what about if I decide I don't necessarily need a hardcover book? It's still going to be color. I still want it to be premium color, but maybe I make it a perfect bound book. I still want it to be glossy. I don't need a duplex cover, 66 pages. And I wonder if you can press, okay, you have to set in 50%. So let's say we want to make it $16.99. Is that going to work for us? So there you go. The print charge is going to be $7.28, and $16.99 will give you $1.22 in compensation. So you want to play around with those numbers. Again, on this side, it will calculate the print for you without having to estimate those other things. So I can show you from here again: color, premium. Let's look at hardback, case, laminate, gloss, 66. And you can just put in whatever quantity here you want. This will also show you how much it's gonna. So when you're setting it up on this side, you can fill in all the information and then it's going to calculate the price for you per book down here. That's the unit selling price. So you would know that if you're giving, say $12 for the ease of everything, if you're giving 50% a retail discount, which is the minimum preferred really, then $24 is the minimum you can set the print price so that you're not in the negative. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of thought and knowledge base that goes behind figuring out how to price your book. So just make sure that whatever you're doing for, people are going to pay more money for a hardcover color book. So a book in the $24 to $26 is still, it's pricey, but it's not like insane. But if you feel like that's going to be too much for your target audience, or if it doesn't fit in what other people are doing in that particular genre with the same type of book, then you might want to go with the paperback version until you see enough sales of it that you can offer a hardcover, or offer both versions and take your chances that most people will go for the lesser expense, maybe depending on your genre, and depending on the needs of your audience. So those are some of the things that go into it. Hopefully that helps you determine your pricing strategy, and best of luck to you. Please feel free to reach out to me at Write, Publish, Sell if you have any questions, concerns, or need more help.